top 10 Zetas! That is right, ladies and all you fine gentlemen out there. Today we are talking about the top 10 Zetas in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, if you don't know what a Zeta is, click on that card in the top right-hand corner. That'll take you to one of my most popular videos I ever made regarding what's a Zeta, best way to farm them, all that lovely stuff. But if you want the quick and short summary of what a Zeta is, I'll give it to you right now. And ever since that day, the game has never been the same. So let's go right into it and keep this short and concise. I got a top 10 list, and these Zetas are all around best Zetas in the game that you can use for many different game modes out there, ranging from people who might not have a big roster to people who have big rosters. We'll get into all the details, but let's dive into it and go to number 10. Come on, let's do this. Number 10. Coming up here at number 10, our first one we're going to talk about today is Quigon Jinn and his leader ability known as Agility Training. Now, normally I'm not a big fan of leaderships with Zetas because they constrain a character to only the leadership role, and they're very constrained to a particular faction. However, this is one of those big exceptions I want to mention to you guys. Chances are, by the time you're able to use Zeta mats, you don't have a deep roster unless you spent money on the game, and Jedis are one of the most popular and one of the most accessible factions around. And this really takes the Jedi to a whole other level and lets you start being competitive with all the people from level 80 and above that are also using Zeta mats. Qui-Gon Jinn's leadership ability essentially adds +3 additional speed to all Jedi, so you're making him faster, plus he grants offense equal to 3 times the speed of your Jedi, which increases their offensive output. Plus, at the start of each encounter and anytime an enemy is defeated, he also grants foresight to all of your Jedi allies, so you have a balance of speed, offense, as well as some defense with the foresight, which is a great combination, especially for people just getting used to Zeta mats. Come on, do it, I'm here. Number 9. Number 9 on our list, and this would have been number 1 many months ago, and that is Kylo Ren and his ability known as Outrage. And this is the type of Zeta that I enjoy because of the fact it's not constrained to a faction, it's not constrained to a leadership, it's already tied into a special ability, and it can be quite deadly depending on how you use it in Arena, and it's great for many other aspects of the game. It's a very simple clause that it adds, but man, it is a really great one. With Kylo Ren's Outrage ability, it gives you +15% extra damage output, plus he gains protection equal to the damage he dealt. So let's say he gets a 30,000 attack on this ability, which is very possible. He regains 30,000 protections. That is a huge healing ability right there. And plus, if you know Kylo Ren, if he's attacked or something of that sort, he gets to reset his abilities most likely, which means he can constantly use Outrage back and forth and back and forth. And even if he has damage over times, that could trigger him to resetting his abilities. And this can be really powerful in Arena, especially when on the offensive. Great for the AAT rate, especially for phase 1. There was a trick that worked for the longest time with Kylo Ren. And for territory battles, although it's very difficult at the moment, he was able to pull some really big wins due to the fact this does big damage and it constantly helps him stay alive in the battle a lot longer. Let off some steam, Bennett. Number 8. Number 8, and number 8 is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn and his unique Ebb and Flow. Now, this can be ranked a lot higher depending on what your lineup looks like, but in terms of overall usefulness, Ebb and Flow really brings a huge element to Thrawn that makes him a lot more viable in areas like Arena and especially both of the raids. Pretty much with Ebb and Flow, once you give this to Thrawn, he goes all the way up to 100% counter chance and 100% tenacity, meaning every time you hit him, most likely you're not landing the stun or any sort of debuff, and he's going to hit you hard, and he's got one of the biggest damage dealing basics out there. So right there, he's going to be a cannon hitting left and right. He's going to be your gunslinging cowboy once you add the Zeta to him. Number 7. Number 7 on this list, probably one of the most frustrating Zeta abilities to go up against and one of the most clutch abilities you can have on your lineup, and that is Barriss Offee and her unique ability called Swift Recovery. Again, I like abilities that are on a unique and that can work in many different types of lineups, and Barriss Offee is a perfect example of that. Very simple again, anytime an ally is critically hit, they regain 20% of their max health. That is a huge boost right there. Normally, for the longest time before she came around, in order to heal someone, you had to waste a turn to heal that character. With this, there's gonna be healing left and right because most likely the enemy, especially those Commander Luke teams, they're doing critical hits left and right, meaning she's constantly giving health bonuses to everyone out there. So this is a really big healing ability right here. Pair this up with General Kenobi and you got yourself a very safe defensive team, and it makes offense a breeze because the AI is not smart. And when I was testing her out, most of the time you could just hit auto and they're gonna win the battle because the AI doesn't know how to work against Barriss Offee's swift recovery.
What killed the dinosaurs? Number 6.
Number 6 on our list is going to be Darth Vader and his leadership ability, Inspiring Through Fear. Now again, this is another one of those exceptions where a leadership Zeta is actually really good, and this might be one of those best first Zeta investments, kind of like Qui-Gon Jinn, again depending on your lineup. But with Darth Vader and Inspiring Through Fear, he gives plus 25% turn meter reduction chance, plus 10% turn meter reduction, and enemies regain damage over time for 2 turns whenever damage over time expires on them while Darth Vader is alive. Now this was one of the best leaderships in the game for the longest time, not definitely in the top of Arena anymore, but it's great for people who are just getting to Zetas. You have a lot of Empire and Sith characters. Darth Vader Zeta can be a really powerful tool to your advantage, and he's amazing for the AAT raid against the tank. He's great. He's one of the best leaderships for the Rancor raid, and on top of that, great for territory battles, the dark side version. So a lot of ways to use him. Only thing that's kind of on the downside is if you're playing against the meta, he's not going to be that competitive.
The Ice Age. Number 5.
All right, number 5, we're almost halfway done with this list, and that's going to be Commander Luke Skywalker and his unique ability, It Binds All Things. Again, it's something that really benefits him and it benefits his fellow allies, and it's not constrained to a leadership ability, so a lot of big check marks right there already. What it does is whenever Luke resists a detrimental effect, he recovers 5% protection, and whenever Luke inflicts a debuff, he gains 10% turn meter, and on top of that, all other allies gain half that amount. CLS, Commander Luke Skywalker, has a lot of Zetas, and this, in my opinion, is actually one of the better ones to invest in. I didn't put this top 10 list of all Commander Lukes because that wouldn't be a fun list, but this is one I really wanted to point out to you guys because it really benefits him. He's going to get a lot of debuffs on him, and at the same time, he's going to be applying a lot of debuffs because his basic applies to debuff, and his second special ability, or his first special ability, I should say, also applies to debuffs, and that also benefits his allies. So it's kind of like a mini leadership role while also increasing his survivability. So again, really great thing to look into if you have a Commander Luke Skywalker. Definitely one of the best Zetas out of the 3 that he has.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Number 4.
Number 4 on this list, and I'm surprised not more people have this Zeta because when you go to SWGoH.gg, this is a little bit farther down their list. However, in my opinion, R2-D2's combat analysis is number 4 and one of the best Zetas in the game. If you've seen me play the game a lot and go up against R2-D2 Zeta or use my own R2-D2 Zeta, I always say R2-D2's combat analysis is really overpowered. It's essentially a mini leader ability inside of your team. Anytime that one of your fellow light side allies, any type of light side ally, critically hits the enemy, they get to cleanse all debuffs from themselves. Again, that is huge. For example, that shuts down a lot of leaders such as Director Krennic. If you use an AoE, get a bunch of debuffs, all of a sudden Commander Luke Skywalker lead and all these other rebels counterattack. If R2-D2's on their team, chances are all those debuffs you just applied are gone. They vanished.
I just wanted the Turbo Man down. Number 3.
Top 3. Are you staying with me so far? We're almost there. Hang on with me for a few more moments. This ability, Han Solo, shoots first. Oh my gosh. It's one of the most overpowered abilities in this game. And if you have Han Solo and you have Zetas, why are you watching this video? You should be Zetaing Han Solo right now. I'm not a big Rebel fan, but man, once they reworked Han Solo and gave him this Zeta ability, all pretty much just changed in the game. And everyone, if you're playing the top end of Arena against the most competitive people, chances are they have Han Solo. Again, like I always say, I like my Zeta abilities that are constrained to either a unique or a special ability, and Han Solo is one of them. It's on his unique ability known as Shoots First, and he gets a plus 10% critical chance. And the first time each turn Han uses his basic, he attacks again, dealing 50% less damage. And you might be thinking, oh well, it's 50% less damage, it's not a lot of damage output. he still does crazy damage. That second follow-up attack can still do over 15,000, which is no joke by any stretch of the imagination. Easily one of the most powerful Zeta abilities in the game, and it's great for both of the raids. If you click on the card in the top right, I show you a video where Commander Luke Skywalker and Han Solo can technically solo the whole entire Rancor raid by themselves with no one else. He is one of the best Rancor raid characters right now, and you also can put him in AAT solo teams. Again, very powerful ability, and it crushes arena, and very important for light side territory battles, territory wars, all that great stuff out there.
And you're not sending me to the cooler. Number 2!
Number 2 on this list, we're coming back around to R2-D2. Now for my top 10 list, I'm trying to make it diverse as possible. Like for example, I don't want to put 3 Commander Lukes on my top 10 list because that wouldn't be too helpful, but R2-D2 is a big exception, and here's why. R2-D2 is essentially a second and a third leadership for your team when you give him both of his Zetas. They are so amazing. They grant so many bonuses, and they grant a lot more than most leaderships out there in particular. So let's go and read this real quick. Number crunch on R2-D2 at the start of the battle and when R2-D2 is revived. Other droid, Galactic Republic, Rebel, and Resistance allies gain 10% of R2-D2's max protection, offense, max health, and potency until R2-D2 is defeated. That is a lot of juicy awesomeness in this little guy. But enough talk about R2-D2. You got the story. R2-D2 is one of the best Zetas out there for both of his unique abilities, but we gotta go to number 1. Who will make the top of the scoreboard here?
Get to the chopper! Number 1!
And that is Finn's Zeta, known as Balanced Tactics. Now, again, I showed my reservations at the beginning that I'm not a big fan of leadership abilities and Zetas, but Finn is a huge exception to that rule, and he made number 1 on this list, and here's the reason why. Now, a lot of you are probably going to disagree with him being number 1, and I can totally understand that, but for people who don't have many Zetas out there, they don't really plan on being super hardcore invested in the game, Finn Zeta is the biggest bang for your buck that allows you to conquer pretty much all types of game modes on there, especially when you're on the offensive. Click on the card in the top right. I show you a guide on how to use Finn Zeta and the Resistance, but all you need is a Finn Zeta, only 1 Zeta ability, Poe, and the Resistance Trooper, and 2 characters of your choice, and you can honestly take on arena with ease, conquer the meta with ease. You can get the biggest damage dealing numbers in the AAT raid. You can conquer territory battles. You can put territory battles on auto, and Finn Zeta will let you walk right through it like it's nothing. I made a lot of videos on Finn, Zeta, and the Resistance. He's just a very powerful Zeta. You can have an under-geared Resistance team, but with Finn Zeta up against a geared 12 team, you can walk over them due to the fact how powerful his Zeta ability really is. So if you're looking to put some top damage into AAT raid, walk over territory battles, territory wars, and also take on some of the best meta teams in arena with ease, Finn Zeta is the way to go. That's exactly what we're looking for. A single Zeta that gets you so much payout, and that's Finn right here. I'm not a big fan of the Resistance. They're not an exciting faction, but man, they get the job done. Biggest bang for your bug Zeta in this game, in my opinion. And obviously there might be some differences between you and I, but it seems like across the community, there is a fairly wide consensus that Finn Zeta is one of the best Zetas in the game. And that is our top 10 list for our Zeta mats today. And hopefully this list was helpful for you guys. A while ago, we got free Zeta mats from Capital Games to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of this game. And I was getting a lot of questions about this. So here we go. Best of 2017, essentially right here. So hopefully I was able to give you a nice little taste of all the Zetas out there. So if you have any other questions, leave them down below in the comments or let me know what your thoughts of the top Zetas are in this game. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let's have a nice little conversation about this. And be sure to subscribe and like this video if you haven't already. And as always, guys,